Good morning, everyone. Welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back with the day number 17 of my top 31 albums that introduced me to these artists or bands, if you prefer. Today it's a band, the album In Through the Outdoor. This was my first Zeppelin album, of course. Got this in 79, just before school started, and was all pumped to go see Led Zeppelin. Everybody was talking about it. We're all getting pumped. We had to go to Montreal to do it. I don't know how we were planning to do it, but we had planned to do it. Got the tickets and everything. Then John Bonham dies. I don't go see Zeppelin, and this ends up being a Mortuary album. Anyways, I did like this album quite a bit for probably the first 10 years of my Zeppelin introduction. This was the album that I liked the best, and it's since moved down the stats a bit, but still a great album. Lots of good stuff on this album. And actually kind of a bit of a transitionary album in many ways. You could clearly see that the band was getting a lot more technically and electronically savvy as the 80s began. You're getting a lot more keyboard sounds from John Paul Jones on this album. You're getting, some pretty dominating keyboard sounds, some real kind of, actually some pretty progressive stuff with Carousel Alhambra. I thought that was a song that really showed a side of Zeppelin that we first kind of see a lot of on the Presence. But this is a great song. You've got lots of keyboard stuff, Carousel Alhambra, All of My Love, I'm Gonna Crawl, which is a bit more of a bluesy track, Fool in the Rain, Southbound Sorez. All these songs have a lot of keyboard elements to it. Album's a little bit more commercial sounding than some of their other stuff. There's only 7 tracks here on this album. Yeah, so you could see that they were beginning to make their move to change their sound. It never happened. Is that a good thing? Maybe it was a good thing, because maybe they would have become like so many other bands in the 80s, abandoning their sound and fan base in order to make a commercial splash, which was common amongst most of the bands that I listened to. But Zeppelin didn't actually get to that. I think Robert Plant probably continued that into his own direction with his own career. Not that it was bad or anything, but I think this was the beginning of that era. But this is a great album, nevertheless. You've got, like I said before, Carousel Alhambra, one of the great progressive kind of heavy keyboards dominated songs by Zeppelin and by many bands of that time period. You got All of My Love, which is maybe a reminiscent kind of song to Stairway to Heaven. Some similarities there. Definitely there was talk of that in that time period, I remember. I like The Hot Dog because it's kind of it was one of those songs that began the start for me into that kind of rockabilly feeling of music, and I got into that with a lot of local bands and then the Stray Cats and a few others, but I did like this song quite a bit. And then you had your other big hit here, Fool in the Rain, which was very different. I did like this. At one point, this was probably my favorite track on the album. It's faded a bit over time. Some of the more cerebral type stuff is more interesting to me. And then you got In the Evening, which is very heavy, reminiscent, traditional kind of Led Zeppelin sound. Absolutely killer. So a great album. Coming here number 17 today on my 31 albums that introduced me to these bands. Could have been higher, probably would have been higher if I'd done this maybe 10 years ago, but it hasn't really been an album I've followed or listened to much over the years. Led Zeppelin, of course, kind of slumping a bit over the last decade or so, although they have made a bit of a renaissance with me this year. So anyways, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this episode of my 31 favorite albums that introduced me to these bands, the series we're running. We'll be back again tomorrow with another one. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe. Where does this album fit into that thing for you? Or maybe you've got some other Zeppelin album that brought you in. Let me know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next episode. So take care and have yourself a good one. Goodbye.